Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late. My computer was having issues, and good thing it's on the replacement plan for next year. The 6-year replacement plan. Right, Mark?
Exactly. I was just sharing with the commissioners that I think I might have jinxed you based on our joking around about how long a laptop lasts. So
That's okay.
Well, we're glad you're here now. It's all good.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we'll come back into session for our afternoon workshops, beginning with an overview of the 2023 budget. And just Jennifer, we'll hand it over to you, and this is your show, and run with it.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so this is the current expense overview of the 2023 maintenance level budget. Maintenance level is currently the budgeted beginning fund balance is 23 million. And then we have all of the for the revenue. That's the beginning cash balance. And then we have the total revenues coming in during 2023 estimated at $43,542,011. And that brings the total to $66,542,011 for the total resources for the maintenance level 2023. The estimated salaries, and this is for the general fund, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So the total salaries and benefits at this time are estimated at $31,050,574. The total operating is estimated at $13,922,178. The estimated ending fund balance right now for this presentation is $21,569,259. And the total estimated expenditures, including ending fund balance, $66,542,011. And so for this, for the maintenance level budget, when this was put together last week, the total from ending fund balance, total used according to the budget, would be $1,430,741. This section over here shows you the difference between the 2023 maintenance level budget and the 2022 adopted budget. And so just a really quick overview on that. We are estimating $2.853 million $577 over what we had estimated last year for the revenues to be received in 2023. And for the expenditures, we're estimating $1,412,905 for the over and above last, from 2023 minus 22. The policy level requests at this time are shown over in column AF here. And we have a total of $1,691,372 in policy level requests for all of the general fund budgets. So I'm going to jump over to, I did some charts for you. There's a bar chart here that shows the 2021 actual revenues, the 2022 adopted budget revenues, and then the 2023 proposed budget revenues as of October 10th. And so you can see this is by a department, and it shows, of course, the Treasurer's Department is the main receiver of all of the revenue. And so they, skyrocket up to 30 million there, received in 2021, and are close to 30 million in anticipated revenues for 2023. I'm going to jump over to our expenditure comparison.
Before you switch off of that one, please keep track of this one and see if you can put together a 5-year using the same chart, please. For the future.
Okay, so going over to the expenditures, we have the same, the 2021 actuals, the 2022 adopted budget, and the 2023 proposed budget for the general fund. And you can see that Sheriff's Office is our biggest user of resources. They're at about close to 15 million there, or right around 15 million. For the adopted budget, they're over 15. And then over or close to 15 for the 2022 adopted budget, and then just under 14 in the 2021 actuals. The next is non-departmental, which is a compilation of different expenditures, and then community development, and so on and so forth.
Are we including vehicles and the like in their budget?
This is everything. So yes, those would be included. Yeah, all expenditures.
I mean, per department.
Yes.
Okay.
So moving on to the current expense revenue pie charts, we have the 2023 general fund sources of revenue proposed budget at October 10th. And this just shows the different sources of revenue in the general fund. We've got taxes at close to 58%, licenses and permits at about 4%, intergovernmental revenue at 17%, charges for services at 13%, fines and penalties at 1.5%, miscellaneous at 4%, and then other very minimal 0.1%, and then transfers in 2%. We've got the current expense, the tax revenue broken down by types of tax. So you can see that the juvenile criminal justice is at 4%. The sheriff gambling poll tabs, I included that because it was that, tax revenue, but it's very minimal, 0.26%. And then of course the treasurer's office has the majority. We have got the property tax, 45%, sales tax, 33%, public safety, city tax, 0.2%, very minimal. Criminal justice is at about 3.6%. Leasehold excise tax, 0.15%, again, very minimal. Forest excise tax at 0.83%, property tax road diversion at 4%, 911 enhanced com tax receipt, about 8% of the total tax revenues there. Moving on to the expenditure by object pie chart. So this is by the types of expenditures in the general fund. In the proposed budget, we've got salaries and benefits are about 69% of the total general fund budget, supplies about 2.7%, services about 27%, capital expenditures very minimal in the general fund at 0.63%, refunds and remits very, very small, which it should be 0.09%, and then transfers out very minimal, 0.2%. And expenditures by function, we've got general government at 42%, public safety at 45%, and public safety includes more than just the sheriff's office. It would include DEM, juvenile, most of juvenile, and a couple odds and ends. I think district court had a little bit in there. The coroner's office is actually included in the social services portion and not in the public safety. Natural and economic environment, 8.2%, social services, 1.2%. That includes your parks as well. Or I'm sorry, parks are included in culture and recreation, never mind. Culture and recreation, 2.16, other 0.09, capital expenditures, 0.63, and transfers out 0.2. So those are just some charts that I put together. And yeah, I can try to work on the 5-year revenue chart in my spare time. So going back to this current expense overview, are there any questions right now, commissioners? Okay, so some of the things that I wanted to go over. The beginning fund balance right now, we're estimating that for the general fund at 23 million. But I'm thinking that's probably a conservative number. It might be a little bit higher than that. But a lot of that is earmarked for different things. We've got all of the open contracts that we haven't settled yet. And even the ones that we have settled, I need to update the salaries and benefits to reflect those new numbers. So, so those are not included in here. We do have included on, switching to the operating side of things, we've got the IT computers included in the operating section of the expenditures, and IT is planning on replacing, just went over it, it was 76 devices in 2 different batches for 2023. So, so those costs are included in each individual department. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is the revenue for the treasurer's office includes $1,080,000 in levy shift and also $1,080,000 in diversion for 2023, and that's something that we have done the last few years, is have a levy shift and a diversion as well. We used to have the diversion was 2.16, and we split that in half and did $1,080,000 in levy shift and $1,080,000 in diversion, since the diversion was difficult to spend the full 2.16 on eligible crab traffic policing items. So so we did the $1,080,000 for the levy shift instead, in order to still help, you know, keep that that service or pay for that service on a yearly basis. But now that we have a lot of cash, it may be an option to either lower that levy shift or eliminate it for 1 year, that $1,080,000, but still keep the expenditure side of the traffic policing, of course. But just wanted to throw that out as a possible option. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that the $44,500 for the sheriff's office vehicle that we approved on Monday and then officially approved on Tuesday is not included in these expenditure numbers, as is the $35,000 that we just moved at the 11 o'clock sheriff's office budget workshop. So that's about all that I have right now that I wanted to point out to you for the overview.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. Commissioners, any questions for Jennifer?
All in, what do you think that beginning fund number is actually going to be?
I don't know. I mean, probably more like 24, 25. I haven't sat down and analyzed it too closely recently, so I need to do that again. But I can come back to you with a better number.
Is your number that you're coming up with based on what you think will be unexpended budget authority at the end, with the inclusion of that?
I do take that into consideration, but I do these estimates in June. And so, you know, things change a lot between then and now. So I can take a look at that again.
Okay, because that's the number I was coming up to, was closer to 25, but that's taken some of that into account, that it may even be higher than that. But okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I do like to be conservative with my numbers, because
Yes.
we are changing those numbers to actuals anyway. And so I would rather have it be lower and I would rather estimate it lower and have it come in higher and then change it to the actual, instead of having to, like we did in roads last year, we had to reduce, you know, so we had to find somewhere to cut in 2022 because the estimated was actually higher than the actual. So that happened in a few funds.
No, I agree. I just need the numbers for my own, because, I'm keeping,
Yeah, I can definitely come back with a new estimate for you. And, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jennifer. No, that's fine.
Oh, I was just going to say that according to when this was put into, when I did this last week, if we approved all of the policy level requests, we would be using 3,122,113 out of the general fund. According to the budget, we would be using that much out of cash balance. But of course, over the last several years, our revenue has actually come in higher than our cash balance. Some of that has to do with the CARES funding. So, that's not going to continue always, but anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Just a couple of questions along those lines, I guess. This does not assume the 1% property tax increase, correct?
It does not include a 1%
Okay.
property tax increase, no.
Okay.
And
then
we will, we will be adjusting the property tax numbers as we always do when I work with the assessor's office. So right now the number is, I think, just carried over from last year.
Okay.
so you're not including the new development in these numbers that you have in front of us?
No.
And then the other question that I had, I guess, maybe, I don't know if now would be the appropriate time or when we get into Public Works's budget workshop next week, but, having that conversation about the diversion and levy shift, and what effect that would have. Obviously, we would be backfilling that on the current expense side, but what effect would having the additional resources in Public Works has? I mean, what would that do for them in terms of project delivery, project management, and so, I guess maybe, for Mark and Jennifer, priming that conversation, I think, with Loretta and team so that they're able to come in next week and have that conversation with us so we can make some of those decisions, I think would be really helpful so that we know what the costs and benefits of making those decisions look like.
Okay.
And
yeah,
then
in conversations, sorry, I think they've already been thinking about that. But yeah, we'll definitely reach out again.
So I could speak at a pretty high level to answer your question, in the sense that the revenues that we have that are at the local level, as you all, I'm sure, are aware, are utilized to leverage dollars that we receive through grants. So by far the majority of money that we receive here for roads funds are the local match portion on larger federal dollars that we receive for projects. I think that when they come here and talk to you, I think that they're scheduled next week. They will talk about the amount of work that they've done with their internal county forces, and we've kind of maximized what that looks like. So I think any additional dollars that come in that will leverage additional federal or state funds most likely would involve contracted services. So we'd be going out and contracting for individuals to come in and lay asphalt or do other types of work.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Mark. And I guess my concern is, just on our capacity to manage contracts like that, to manage projects. I think we have probably a once in a generation opportunity with the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed at the federal level to, if we had additional, funding capacity to do match or go after those projects that are outlined at the federal level, certainly we could do that. We could put some resources into going after some priority projects that match the funding at the federal level. But my concern is, what is the on the other side of that? What is our ability to manage and deliver on those, even if we are contracting out? Because so often is that, the case is we'll get a contractor or a consultant on board, but that still takes capacity internally to make sure that they're hitting their milestones and deliverables as part of that, that contract and consultancy. And so those are the kinds of things that I'd like to hear a little bit more from, and just be really realistic about it, right? Like, it's not, it's not an issue of, it's not a punitive thing or whatever, but, let's be realistic about what we can, really go after and what we think we're confident we can manage next year and in future years. So definitely open to a conversation about changing, the levy shift portion or the diversion portion, given sort of the once in a generation opportunities that are in front of us, but just want to make sure that we're going into that eyes wide open.
I think those are extremely valid questions, and I will definitely prep our public works team to be prepared to answer those.
Great, thank you. And then Jennifer, I get my last question, I guess, and this is just maybe an obvious one or answer maybe, is this fully funds our reserve policy at what level?
So let's go to the detailed budget. So this is at 25% of the prior year's expenditures for that operating reserve. And that is at $9,614,040 in this budget.
Great. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And then did you want the rest of the reserves or
oh,
just
sure.
that?
Yeah, that's good too. Yeah.
Okay. So we have the accrued leave reserve at 502,000, the equipment replacement reserve, 1,040,500. The technology replacement reserve, 336,000, the contingency reserve at $1 million, and then the new capital reserve, 5 million. So that leaves us with 5,507 and $5,507,460, which totals up to the 23 million.
Yeah, and just for the commission, I guess too, as we look at those overages and what we can fund realistically, and one time versus ongoing expenses, just my annual call for maybe a discussion around, what debt are we able to pick off or reduce as an opportunity with our fund balance the way that it is. If there are any opportunities to be open to that.
I would agree with that 100%.
So we could look at them. Our larger debt issuances, after talking with Lisa Frazier, have to be completely extinguished. So we can't pay a portion of it off. We either have to pay it all off or nothing. I mean, we can definitely put money into a reserve account to make future payments. But as far as extinguishing the debt, the way that our debt instruments are written, it's all or nothing.
So you're saying we have to pay all the debt off, or can we just take, because I know that we have a different lines, I guess you could say, different types of debt. And some I know you would have to pay off completely. So are you talking all or nothing?
Well, per issuance.
Oh, okay.
Trask. So if we issued bonds in 2012, then that issuance, we would have to settle that all at once, right? We may have 4 different issuances on the books. We might have issued debt in 2012, let's say 15, 17. So we have 3 different issuances of debt. In order to make it clean, you'd have to actually take one of those and say, I'm going to utilize these funds to pay this debt off early. And that's if those debt issuances have the ability for us to pay them off early. Sometimes debt that's issued, you have to carry it out to its maturity. So those are questions I think we need to ask Lisa and just be prepared for, but absolutely could talk to her about that.
Well, sometimes there's prepayment penalties, but what would be appreciated is if you brought us something that showed the percentages that we're paying for interest on the outstanding debts that we have, the ones that we have, because even if we're not going to give everything in order to pay for it out of the general fund today, There are internal loans and stuff like that that we can also do to still make sure it gets paid off if it's necessary to pay the whole thing off at one point. There's different options, but having it right in front of us, showing us what we have and seeing which ones are the best ones to pick off would be the preferred way of making that decision.
No problem.
We also need to go over the special funds as well, but I wanted to go through the general fund first. So did you want to do that now, commissioners?
Sure.
I would.
Great.
I was already doing it while we were talking to the other. That's what I was looking at.
Okay, so here is the all of the funds. These are all of the special funds, and then I list the general fund here at the bottom. So so you can see for the 2023 maintenance level budget, we have for all of our special funds, beginning fund balances are $47,834,139. The total estimated revenues for 2023 are $58,664,277. And I'm sorry, I said that wrong. $58,664,277 for a total revenues of $106,498,416. So that's the total resources. Then we have the on the expenditure side, the salaries and benefits, $13,870,617. The total operating in all of the funds, $60,751,077. The ending fund balances are estimated at $27,899,694. And the total expenditures then are $102,521,388. And you can see that the funds are out of balance, and that's because we have some PLRs over here for the special funds. We have in roads $2.191,624. For health, we have $376,255. That's the transfer in from current expense for their grant match, which really probably is a maintenance level item, but they're going to come in and kind of explain their budget. So I wanted to leave that out as a PLR. And then we have these amounts for all of the utility funds, $703,000 for North Bay Sewer. We've got $388,000 for, or I'm sorry, this $703,000 for Mason County landfill, $388,000 for North Bay Sewer, $17,853 for Russellwood. We've got for Beards Cove, $7,768, and then for Belfair, $23,361. And then last is equipment rental and revolving. We've got $645,000 in PLRs.
So can you go back to the front on that so I could look at the ending fund balances, all the ones on top there? Beginning fund balance there, okay. And maintenance. Just give me a minute with that, please.
Okay.
Road. So we're expected at close to 11 on the roads, which is what do you know what we expected in 22?
I forget exactly what it was. I think I have it in here though.
Thought you
Oh,
would.
there it is. 12,365,960.
Okay.
And yeah, it actually came in at more like 10 million, something. Like
Yeah. I see we have a real low projected ending fund balance on the Belfair wastewater. We're doing well on North Bay, and we were doing well on Beards Cove water.
Yeah, and Russellwood, I have a question into to Public Works on Russellwood's estimated beginning fund balance. I think that it's estimated too high.
Russell, blah, blah, blah. You think it's 34,000 is estimated too high? Or the beginning fund balance? Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, the beginning, which would then, of course, affect the ending. But yeah, I think that 200 is too high. So I think that we need to take a look at that fund, our trouble fund, like normal.
What have we done lately in regards to 09 funds and stuff to that fund? I'm trying to remember. I'm running blank.
So that one, I don't think we have anything budgeted in 2022 because we gave them an ARPA project instead.
Okay.
But
that's why I don't remember. We don't have it. Okay.
Yeah, the ARPA project though is being pushed to next year, which is fine. But then they would have some eligible expenditures for 0.09 funds. So yeah, I think we need to take a look at utilizing those for this fund.
Go to the top again for me. One more time in the columns you're at. Yeah. There it is. Revenue 306, operating 306. So what are we expecting for the ending fund balance this year for the paths and trails?
304,000.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So any other questions on the special funds?
Could you get me a list of what's earmarked for the REIT 1, REIT 2s, please?
Sure.
Because although we have ending fund balance, I know we have some things that are promised out. Same with 09, if you don't mind.
And earmarked for
What we have, for example, in 09, I know we have current expenditures for the Shelton Sewer project, and it's getting smaller. I'd like to kind of just keep track of where that's at and what other things that we've promised it out for, please.
okay.
Landfill reserve, any fund balance.
So with both the general fund and the special funds, right now we have $173,496,682 to balance the all of the county funds. That includes the $80,000 transfer in from the TST that we talked about this morning, and then the $376,255 transfer to health to equal that $173,496,682. And then we have the PLRs not included in fund balance over here for the special funds to equal the $173,496,682. So that's where we're at this moment with the 2023 budget.
Okay, commissioners, any questions?
Nope, well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jennifer, great job putting this together with the visuals and those breakdowns. I found those to be really helpful. So much appreciated. Appreciate the work that goes into that.
Thank you. I'm glad that it was useful.
It breaks up the monotony of spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Visualize things. It's good.
Pictures.
Great. Okay, so if there's nothing else on the overview, I'm going to kick it over to Mark and maybe get into support services or central services.
Are you going to pull that up, Jen?
Yeah, I was just going to use this as our
Yeah.
guide for us. So I was just going to go over our PLRs. So beginning with emergency management, we have $6,365 in PLRs, and that includes the North Mason office costs of $4,950, and then additional travel and training of $1,415.
What do you call a North Mason office costs?
So that is just one moment here. That's an accumulation of supplies. There's an additional $1,000 in there for the, another office, more supplies needed to be purchased. There's $3,000 for a new printer and IT equipment for that office. And then $950 for copier rent.
And the additional training and travel?
That would be a question for John, but that includes $1,315 to travel, and then $100 to training and registrations. Very minimal, but John would have more detail as to what that is, or maybe it was just an arbitrary increase. I'm not positive what the justification was for the increase on that.
I think he's sending some of our people for training so that they can train others too. So that could be part of that cost.
Mr. Taylor, do you have a second to jump on here? And
I do, sir. Right now, I am the only nationally certified instructor to do the courses. It's sending Bob Burbage back, who's the training and exercise coordinator, to get certified as well, so that we can split those duties. And plus, our goal is to offer these same classes in North Mason. So getting him certified is going to be important so that we can split those training abilities.
With that said, commissioners, I would think both of those are maintenance.
I would agree. I think,
Yeah, I'm good with that.
even though it's, kind of an expansion, I think those are things that are necessary for the cost of doing business.
Yeah, and we know we're going there, so it's gonna happen. So I like it. So can you move that, Jennifer?
Yeah, so the full the North
think-
Mason costs and the
I think-
travel and training.
Yeah, I think for both, because we have to have that training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board with the full for both of those.
Yep, same.
Thank you.
Thanks, John, for your explanation.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, John. So the next department that we have is Human Resources, and we have a large PLR ask compared to, some of our others. We have 165,957, and that consists of a request for one additional FTE for 91,000, an increase in Cabot Dow for 20,000, close to 21,000. And then NeoGov, a 2-year contract, which we just watched a presentation on that in the IT steering committee, and that looked really good. And then centralizing recruitment, 20,000. Currently, every department pays for their recruitment advertising out of their budget. And Mary was looking to consolidate that and kind of expand on some of those recruiting options as well. And then training 4,000. So that adds up to this 165,957. And I'll turn it over to Mary to talk a little bit more about those items.
Thanks, Jen. So for the FTE position, we're looking at adding another personnel analyst or overall HR generalist. The goal is to help increase the HR support to the county at large, would also allow the department to increase our engagement in HR functions, which are a little behind the times. And we want to make sure that we're supporting all pieces of the employee life cycle. This is really crucial also to help free up our risk manager to focus on countywide risk program. There hasn't been the capacity in the last year or two in order to fully focus on that function of the department. For the Cabot Dow professional services increase, this is a continuation moving into the next budget cycle for labor negotiations and class and comp implementation work. It's really kind of an HR best practice to have that third party participate in labor negotiations. And it's, I think the commissioners would agree, a pretty invaluable tool in getting us some business done in a collaborative manner, not only with the county, but also working with the labor unions. The data and everything has just been a time and cost savings to HR staff because just they have better data, they have it available, they do a great job. And then any class and comp study recommendations, we're going to require additional support from them in order to implement to some degree, I would assume. For the advertising recruiting, I think that putting all of those funds into the HR budget and removing them from independent departments would help alleviate any associated administrative costs. Right now, we have to go out to the department, get the card number, come back. I mean, it's a whole back and forth that is time consuming. And we also want to have the opportunity for funds to boost and sponsor job postings, especially with higher level recruitments. We should be looking at LinkedIn. We should be spending some more money on advertising. We also need to get out in the community more and partner at recruitment events and career events in our region and locally in the county. We also are in need of purchasing some promotional materials to promote Mason County as an employer of choice. So like, at Oyster Fest, having like pens and pads of paper and just little things like that that kind of help people. Oh, there's the, HR website to go apply for a job. HR is currently hampered by the chart of accounts project not being fully completed yet. Everything is tied to position control. So we're looking at a 2-year contract with NeoGov to give us the ability to improve our recruitment application and employee life cycle without having to wait for the chart of accounts. We want to make sure that, we're landing qualified hires, our time to hire is decreased, and we have productivity on day one, and then also ensuring that we're compliant with all hiring and employment practices as well. Our training asks are just a little bit of a bump because the staff has not had the opportunity to participate as fully in HR and risk trainings over the last couple of years because of staffing. So I think that the ability for the risk manager to attend a couple more trainings. We also need to be a little bit more involved in WCIF when it comes to benefits and ensuring we're giving our employees the best customer service possible when it comes to their benefits. And then making sure that we are participating in the civil service conference. They've offered it free the last couple of years because of COVID, but the anticipation is that they will start charging again for that.
May I, Commissioner?
Sure.
Okay, the first one, the HR analyst, can we, if we're trying to centralize some of these things, is there a possibility of bringing in for combination with Public Works in order to also receive revenue for that position? Is one question. Did I make any sense with my question?
So, I mean, do you mean, so we currently have an analyst that is dedicated to public works and is
Yes.
funded. Are you saying another generalist for that functionality?
Well, I'm wondering if there's, 0.25 or whatever that could go to that generality and offset some of the costs.
I
And
don't
have you
know
considered that, I guess?
I don't know that the workload exists because we have a full FTE devoted to public works currently.
No, that's the answer.
Okay.
My next one is in regards to Cabot. If I'm not mistaken, I think the commission has already decided and has moved into this direction. And I think it's the other commissioners that would have to correct me and tell me no, or if I'm understanding that right.
That's what he's valuable.
That's what you understood. Is that what you understood as well, Commissioner Schutte, or?
Yeah, I think this is just the lag in that discussion and the presentation. So I think we're all good there.
Okay, so then there's the NeoGov. I'm trying to still figure out where to place that. Central recruitment, will that include corrections?
Yeah, all recruitment activities, we'll take
Okay.
that on.
Is there have you given consideration to hiring a headhunter?
No, but that is something we could explore with those funds.
Okay, and I think that would take the commission action to do something like that. So I'm not sure where to do it. So for myself, right off the top, I think training and Cabot should be part of maintenance. I'm open to consideration of the other ones if we think we've had enough discussion as commission. But for maintenance, I believe Cabot should be maintenance and training should be maintenance.
Yeah, so that the NeoGov. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Schutte.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, so this was vetted by the IT steering committee and comes with that recommendation as well, just for the commission's knowledge on that. And, being able to kind of streamline that process and make up some ground in terms of, efficiency on that side, giving our hiring folks a little bit more of an opportunity to communicate with applicants, making the application process easier and more accessible for folks who would like to come to work for us, and just kind of keeping them engaged. It's a good step forward for us in that regard, and just for the amount of money we'll get that back, and in terms of efficiency and just be able to have a better presence, I think, from the hiring perspective. So really good conversation at the IT steering committee today. Mary did a fantastic presentation for us, and we were able to ask some questions that got some clarity. And so I think ultimately this is a good direction for us to move.
So I guess my question is, are we considering a action of the board, so therefore wouldn't be maintenance, or are we already there and we're saying that it's maintenance?
Well, I have just a quick question. So the chart of accounts, if we're doing this for 2 years, do we expect the chart of accounts to be finished in 2 years?
I'm expecting that the chart of accounts will be ready by January 1st of 2024. I think that Leo would be on board with that. He's been working away at it, and I have not been much help recently because of, being busy with the budget. But we also have the outside CPA firm, he's giving direction to them and giving them focus on where to work. So, I believe it should be ready to go by January 1st of 2024, which would work out perfectly with NeoGov, I think. And I think that Mary would agree with that.
Mark?
Just to add to Jen, I definitely support Jen's statements, but in addition to that, once we get the chart of accounts established, then we have to actually start with the implementation of position control. So then again, you have yet another portion of this application that we're going to have to be prepared to translate into how does it work for Mason County, and then work with Munis to get that implemented. And then be able to train our staff on how to utilize those tools within Munis. So I believe that Mary's long-term goal is to utilize Munis fully as a recruitment and for some of the other HR functions that she's hoping to get out of NeoGov now. So this is, I look at NeoGov as kind of a temporary patch to some significant issues that we have within HR.
Okay, yeah, I guess the reason I asked was twofold. I want to make sure that if we're using NeoGov, that we can extend it if needed, because sometimes things happen. And so we might have to go for longer than 2 years. So I just want to make sure that that door doesn't close at the end of 2 years.
Yes, we can always do a contract extension or re-up a contract. The 2024 deadline for projection for chart of accounts would give us a year cushion to get position control in place, or if their project was delayed for whatever reason, we can then conclude our 2 year, we could extend, and all of the data in NeoGov is proprietary to us as a county. So we would be able to extract that data and do and mass upload into Munis at some point.
All right, great. I like all of it. I think I would love first to get another person into HR, because I think we need it. There's so much going on in the world today that adding one more person and having risk as a one unit, as one entity, I guess one person, is smart. It's going to save the county money in the long run. So I would support that one. Cabot's a given. NeoGov, you answered that one. Centralized recruitment, I really like the idea of that one. Being able to show that Mason County is the place to work. I think that would be, that's a given too. And then training also. I know that all three of us have talked about training in the past also, and how important it is for us to encourage our employees, our staff, to get the training that they need. So I know it's a high 166,000 is pretty high. But I think one thing people also need to remember is support services has, when things are tough, that's what gets cut first, and then they get forgotten. And so I think that this is helping us get back up to where we need to be for the public.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm happy to revisit the FTE, because I know we've set aside some FTEs over time or earlier today, and revisit those over the whole budget process. But you know, we have kind of two sets of customers in HR, and we have our internal customers that rely on HR, the different departments and you know, electeds and all of their staff that relies on HR. As well as when we're looking at the recruitment side of things, you know, we have an expectation from the public, you know, to be able to meet those needs. And so being able to build in some additional capacity to HR, you know, you might not see that as a direct benefit on the balance sheet, but in terms of being able to accomplish those necessary functions, implement a robust training and retention program, and beef up on the recruitment side, as well as those day-to-day functions, I think is a good investment. And so as we go through this, I'll definitely be thinking about that FTE, but supportive generally, and definitely supportive of the other requests here: Cabot, NeoGov, and recruitment and training.
Okay, so just so I'm clear for myself, because I heard Commissioner Trashy's in favor of moving forward. I know from past work with the same commission that if we go early with these, we end up coming back and cutting some of the choices. So in the past, we have waited with the FTEs until the end and reboxed them all together. Which are we doing now? Are we making a determination now on the FTE, or are we pushing it to look at it as a whole at the end?
I'm good with holding off until the end, because you're right, looking at it at the end is you get a better picture.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. So for myself, I am supportive of you know, boxing the FTE until we make our final decisions there. I believe Cabot is a maintenance. I know that the centralized recruitment, I can consider that maintenance because we've been pushing that and talking about that for a long time. And I think the commission already made a decision to go in that route. So I don't see that as a problem with maintenance. I don't see training as an issue with maintenance. The only question I have is the NeoGov 2-year contract. I don't see it as maintenance, but I can see it as a decision being made right here today. If the commission decides, and I would support that. So I guess I'm saying keeping in our pockets the FTE, maintenance is Cabot, maintenance is central recruitment, maintenance is training, and asking if we're making a decision to move forward with a contract for NeoGov.
Yeah, I think that's what we're saying.
Okay, I can support that.
Is that clear, Jennifer and Mary? Are we all hearing the same things?
Yes, sir.
So move Cabot over to maintenance, move the training, move NeoGov, and move the recruitment, and leave the FTE for a decision later on.
Yeah, and the training, the 4K for training.
Oh, we're keeping the 4K for training for a PLR?
Oh, no. I meant move that. I didn't.
Okay, yeah, I thought we were going to move it over.
Okay.
So moving everything over except for the
Except for
FTE.
FTE. Okay. Yeah.
Is that good?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, so that is everything that we have for HR. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Mary?
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So moving on, we have support services. In there, we just have $4,542 additional training. And some of these are just really odd amounts because of odd amounts that were entered into the budget in years past due to cuts. And so we're putting in even numbers now, which in turn puts an odd number into that PLR column. So anyway, $4,542 for additional training for finance staff. And this includes Mark's CPE credits to maintain his CPA license, which really is a maintenance item. And in there, I plugged in $600 for a CPFO program, which is a certified public finance officer program that I would like to pursue with GFOA. It is a couple year-long program, and you have to pass 7 tests within 5 years, I think it is. So I don't know if I'll have time to start that next year, but I would like to get that in the works. So so that's our ask.
Well, I'm a fan of the trainings and stuff and the licensing. So I think this is maintenance. As a matter of fact, I'd like to ask that you keep a running total on the secondary for what is some of these maintenances that are one-time expenditures, such as NeoGov. It's actually a 2-year expenditure, but centralized recruitment and stuff, so we can keep track at the end of the bow wave.
Okay.
But I see this as maintenance, necessary maintenance.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And Commissioner Netherland, are you saying that, keeping track of the additional funds that we're putting into training?
Yeah, I think these training funds that are specific for the year and stuff, we need to keep track of them separately. So when the end comes and we're looking at these numbers and saying we don't have that money, but we have ending fund balance, we can look at it and say, but these are one-time expenditures out of ending fund balance and not a bow wave.
Okay, thank you.
So we can continue to move forward, expending some of the ending fund balance without putting ourselves in a crutch that we'll be paying for over and over and over again for years to come.
As I was going over some of the stuff with Jen, I did notice that there was quite a few of the line items associated with travel and training that had been considerably reduced or just outright cut. And
yeah,
I think that was probably done at a time where the county was in pretty significant financial straits, and so you had to make some of these decisions to cut the things that were considered to be optional, right? It wasn't a legal requirement to do this.
No, and last year the commission started reinvesting in training, in my opinion.
I
The
think
commission
that's important.
openly, positively was reinvesting in training.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll kind of second what Commissioner Netherland just said. And I think, going forward, as part of investing in our workforce, just finding those opportunities and being open. And I know it's sometimes, in October, November, it's hard to predict what opportunities are going to come up for different departments and their staff throughout the year. And so, we might not be able to capture all of that in this budget in terms of training and travel budget, but to the extent that we can, I'd really like to be flexible for departments as opportunities arise. If they don't have that flexibility within their budget, to come back to us and have that conversation, because I think we're going to go through a period of time here where really making sure that our staff is back out there and working collaboratively with other colleagues and out there learning and investing in their own future, I think is a direction that we need to head.
Well, we in the audit committee, and we brought forward to the commission things that put more restrictions on requiring education and stuff. So with that being said, we got to make sure we're paying for it, have it in the budget.
Great.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, but also, I don't think that we talked about it yet. 365. And has the IT taken a look at that? And when can we move forward with that?
You guys just should have came to our IT committee meeting. You guys could have got all your questions answered. We actually just got an update from our IT folks about Office 365, and they're kind of solidifying some of the costs associated with what it looks like, and we'll be including that in their budget request.
It actually is already approved in the IT rates that I brought
that's right.
forward in June. So that's why the rates increased substantially this year, is because of Office 365. So yeah, it's already in there.
I was saying, I thought we already determined we're moving there. So
Yeah.
I was just wondering when we're going to get it.
Yeah. Is it a matter of they're waiting for adoption of this budget to do it, to turn that funding on?
That's what I understood out of our meeting.
So I don't know. I don't want to screw things up too bad here, but if we are going to do a supplemental in December, or we have an opportunity to get that process started earlier than next year, that might be worthwhile. But it is in there and it is moving forward. And I think Ben and TJ are pretty excited about bringing that online and getting everybody dialed up for it. So
If they do it in phases, they might not need an amendment, because that would be a rate. We would have to do a transfer from current expense and then square it up in the rates the following year, which is fine. But they might be able to pull off part of it this year. I don't know. We'll see, without an amendment. I'll look at that.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're all just pretty excited to move in that direction, whether it happens in the fall or in the winter. So it's a pretty big jump for us. So excited to see it happen.
Okay, so next we have Parks and Trails, and we have really minimal PLRs there. They have 5,000 in trackable tools, and then travel $100.
maintenance.
For all of it, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where $100 gets you anymore, but if they feel like $100 is impactful, God bless it.
Might get the steamboat. I don't know.
Yeah. That's like one fill up, or maybe even 3/4 of a fill up with diesel.
Yeah, and I think that $100, like, that's their only $100. It's not an increase of $100. It's like that's $100 in their travel line. So I mean,
I think this is a good representation of the fact that offices and departments didn't completely cut travel and training out of their budgets. What they did is they found savings in operational savings throughout the year, still went to the travel and training, but just didn't have a budgeted line item for it. So I think that was pretty common.
So that is all of our current expense departments. So I'm going to move on. I don't think we had any PLRs in our special funds, but I'm going to double check. Yeah, the only one, and this is more of the health department, is the 376,255 transfer in to health. So other than that, we have no special fund PLRs for our support services group. So so we're done. So thank you very much. Appreciate it, commissioners.
Thank you. Great job.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so I think next up we have Coroner's office.
Yeah, and she is scheduled for 3:30. She wasn't positive that she is going to be here or be available because she's, I think, a one gal show over there now.
So do we want to pause until 3:30 and give Coroner Taylor a chance to hop on, or are you certain that she won't join us?
I'm not positive. I can give her a call. Do you want to just plan on joining at 3:30?
Sure.
And we can go with the clerk's office if she's not available, or I can speak for her, which we had talked about if she wasn't available.
I also had some discussions with the coroner, and so I could help with answering some questions there too, I think.
Yeah.
Well, and the truth of the matter, for now, we know they need the extra help.
Yeah.
Just because what's happened, and the forensic pathology, we have no choice anymore with how that has changed. So I don't see how those are not both maintenance. Anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was going to say along those lines too. I mean, our practice to this point has been setting aside the FTE requests to revisit as a whole, but I think there's a lot of support for the other two requests as a cost of doing business, and so I certainly want to give her the opportunity to come and present to us, but I think we're all pretty clear on what the asks are and kind of how we've been approaching it to this point. So if you just want to check with her and see if she wants to join us, I think that's great. We would welcome that. If not, we can come back at 3:30 and maybe get the clerk on.
Yeah, with the idea that we move extra help and forensic pathology to maintenance and holding the FTE for later discussions.
Okay, and in talking to Jamie, she had said that the extra help, the increase of 8,000, she would not need that if she got the FTE.
So do you want to hold off on the extra help and the FTE until we talk about it, and then just put the forensic pathology into maintenance?
Yeah, that would probably be a good idea.
Okay.
I'm agreeable.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, thank you. So are we holding on, or are we coming back at 3:30?
Well, I think let's see if she wants to come present to us with that. I mean, I don't want to prevent, I don't want it to make it seem like we don't want to hear from her, which, I think we'd all be, more than happy to have her presentation. Diane?
Yep, Jamie's going to sign on, and so is Sharon Fogo.
Oh, okay, great. So we'll just sit tight and wait for them to log in, and then we'll go through it there.
Yeah, it should be shortly.
So
Okay.
Can we take like a couple minute break?
Yeah, let's take 5 and then come back.
Perfect.
Come back at 3:22.
Okay.
Was somebody dying to see you?
Somebody's always dying to see me.
Oh,
Oh, Mark.
right.
Oh, wow.
You can tell we're just getting warmed up here with our budget workshop. As the time rolls on, I'm sure the jokes will just get better and better. All right. Well, Jamie, thanks for jumping on a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So why don't we just go ahead and dive right in? Jennifer, do you want to tee it up and maybe give Jamie an update on where we are, and then she can take over from there?
Yeah, so I was just going over the coroner's PLR ask, 241,476, and that includes the 1 FTE for the deputy coroner position of 74,476, and then extra help 8,000, and then forensic pathology 159,000. So that's where we left off. If you want to take it from here, Jamie.
Yeah, since we lost our services with Kitsap, we've had to move to Thurston, which is an increase in price. We're getting really busy. I know that's horrible for us, but I just need the help. We're averaging about 1 to 3 calls a day, and I just need some extra help. And I just lost my full-time deputy as well. So I'm trying to manage this county with one person.
Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry.
We've already done 7 autopsies for this month. We averaged 10, and we're not even halfway through the month yet. So we just keep increasing in caseload.
So Jamie, before you came on, the commission had already spoken, decided to move the forensics pathology to maintenance, so that that's not a question anymore. That's will be part of your budget. The question that came out was the extra help that may not be necessary if you get the FTE. And the one thing I'll tell everybody in regards to everything that was going on with the fire chiefs and everything like that, the one thing is absolutely obvious to me is that FTE is going to be 100% necessary to continue on with the way our world is right now and what's happening out there. So I'm not going to be questioning that. My question personally will be, is that accurate? You won't need the 8K if you get a FTE.
I can try to live without it. The issues that I'm coming across now is storage for our decedents. So right now we're using Macomb's funeral home, and they're gracious to let us use their facility, but of course they want to be compensated for that. And then we're storing people there prior to autopsy, and then we're storing people there after autopsy. So when a funeral home comes to pick up the decedents from Macomb's staff doesn't want to release the decedents because they would have to pay their staff to do it. So now I'm going to have somebody go either transport our decedents to Thurston and back, and then have somebody release to whatever funeral home the family chooses. So I can try to get by without it, but I don't know what that's going to look. Unfortunately, with our department, I can't say, oh, I'm just going to have this number of people or cases. It's always changing.
So the extra help is a line that's separate and above the FTE, and one has nothing to do with the other.
Right. So I could pay somebody to go do a transport, or I could pay somebody to go release somebody, or come on scene and help. I mean, the fire department has been great. They have helped us every time. They have been fantastic, but we've just added some more things to our operations now that we're using Thurston versus Kitsap. We were really getting a good deal with Kitsap.
And I'm back to my original request to move extra help 8K into maintenance.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
Just you said that you just lost your full-time.
Yeah, she just retired after 20-something years.
So is this an additional person, or are you filling it out?
Yes, so I would like to have 2 full-time people. I just have 1 full-time position. I'm asking for 2.
Okay.
I'm asking for an additional one, so I have 2 total.
Okay, that makes sense. I would say that the extra help, the 8,000, to me, you need that right now, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
It's just you.
It's just me.
Well, now, so if you need that right now, wouldn't that be part of the 2022 budget, not part of the 2023 budget?
So I did get some extra funding last time when I asked for some extra money. So right now, I think I'm going to be able to get through the end of the year. So I think we can make it through the end of this year.
Yeah, so that'll be coming through in the budget amendment.
Right, in November, right?
Is it November? Yeah, December. Okay. The process starts in November and then ends December 20th. So yeah, the forensic pathology will be added to 2022 and then also 2023. And I had talked it over with Mark, and he wanted to make sure that that we had this discussion so that, you know, you could see how serious the need was.
Yeah, I met with Mark a while back and we had the discussion about the need on the position and what I hoped it would be. So again, I'm already there, but we're not doing that today, Jamie. The way we have to do things, the way we've been doing it in the past, is we pull everything together when it comes to the FTEs, and at the end, realizing that there's a bow wave that comes with all those, and we have to make the final decisions on them usually at the end, so that we don't cut people, say yes, and then have to go back and cut them out later.
Okay.
Can I make a recommendation, though, that you might consider working with McComb and them and talk to them about a contract for doing that and taking that off of your plate? It may be beneficial for the county if you were to do that.
I agree.
Instead. And then just bring it back to us and see what we can do. That's just
Okay.
a recommendation, is all.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So right now, commissioners, can I just clarify the extra help, $8,000, and the forensic pathology, $159,000, we will move that to maintenance level.
Agreed.
Okay, and then hold off on the FTE until later on discussions, budget discussions.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yep.
Okay.
Jen, did you want me to talk about what I'm gonna try to come with next week? For
Sure.
yeah, so like I said, I just lost my full-time deputy, and she was considered a senior deputy. And I'm just gonna ask to reclassify that position to just a deputy coroner instead of a senior deputy coroner. And I also found out that our extra help was making more money per shift than she was. So I want to even those out and make sure that the full-time position's the same as the extra help.
This
I'm
is
gonna
a
come-
non-represented position.
Correct.
Okay, so Mark,
Yes.
you'll bring that something to us.
I'm gonna bring that to you. Yeah, hopefully next week, but I just wanted to give you a heads up.
And I
Yeah,
think
so-
Mark needs to bring that to us during our negotiation.
Jamie's been actually working with Mary too, and discussing these items. So I think that HR is prepared to come forward with support for the recommendation. And I think it makes sense, right? I mean, we got having two full-time people there is a necessity, because
Yeah.
if Jamie ever wants to take a day off, or if she gets sick and can't respond, then you know, we need to have somebody around. I do think that there's other impacts that we're going to see with our coroner's office in terms of as we move into the future. And I'm hopeful that we see a change in the amount of customers that she has. It seems like it's kind of exponentially increased lately. So hopefully something changes in the near future, but definitely want to keep the board apprised of where Jamie's at and the resources that she needs. She has to be kind of creative sometimes in terms of how she secures bodies. And so obviously, if there's issues associated with the death that need to have that forensic pathology performed on it, then the chain of custody of the body is super important. And so making sure that Jamie and her staff are the only ones that have access to it, and she can kind of show that chain of custody, really assists the legal process in the future too. So there's a lot of challenges that she's kind of trial by fire right now, but she's doing great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great, Jamie. Well, yeah, just appreciate everything you're doing, and know that we support you, and we'll keep working on this over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully get you some clarity as we round out the rest of our workshops.
And
Great,
as we're
thank you.
as we're looking at facilities commissioners on the north end, we might want to consider something that can handle that one situation for refrigeration and the like, professionalism. The space is there. It's something to consider.
Great. That's a big need for our office, is refrigeration in a space.
And Kelly Fraser and I have talked about it a few times too, trying to figure out, get creative in some of the things that we can do. I think we do have options, but that's definitely something that Mason County should look into, especially since we lost Kitsap.
Yes. Well, thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jamie.
Jamie. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Clerk. Sharon, Fogo, are you there with us?
How are you guys?
Great. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Hi, Sharon.
So if we actually look at my budget, I believe it's the salary and wages line is less expensive than it was last year because I have 7 new clerks, deputy clerks. So that saves us a bit of money.
Yeah, and your operating actually went down as well. You just have the 3,000 in the barcode printers and scanners. And since I was having everybody else who had trackables come in and request those, I figured we should do the same.
And so we have one scanner that we purchased last year in 2021 and a scanner that we purchased in 2017, which seems to be showing some of its age. It's grabbing documents without recognizing the barcodes on it. So I've had IT look at it. They don't know why it's doing that. We've tried cleaning it. And it doesn't seem to have helped. So I may have to be looking at purchasing another scanner in the future. And that's why I included that. And we are actually short 1 barcode printer because our jury manager didn't use a barcode printer, but now the jury manager is doing some entering, and it would be helpful if she had her own barcode printer instead of sharing with another deputy clerk.
So Sharon, is this 3,000 take care of both, or is this the wrong number? Do we need?
It takes care of both.
Okay. Then commissioners, I see it as maintenance.
Yeah, I think we can find $3,000, especially on day 1 of budget workshops. So I'm comfortable moving forward with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Madam Clerk, the one thing I would ask on a separate note for a separate time, a couple years ago, we introduced monies and such for you to take on passports because it was going to be profitable. If you wouldn't mind breaking that down and sending it to us at some point in the near future, I'd
Sure.
appreciate it.
Well, we've taken passports for 30 years, but I'm happy to give you the cost analysis on that.
Well, we gave money and for personnel and for stuff, what was it, 2 years ago, to bring that.
Right, so we started printing photos a couple years back, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking about.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Yep. You just want me to email you that information? or-
That's fine, and it's not a hurry.
Okay,
Maybe send it to Jen or Mark, and then that can be shared with all 3 of us.
sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Excellent. All right, Sharon, anything else for us?
Not from my perspective. Do you guys have any other questions?
No, just appreciate your budget. Looks good.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you very
keeping it
much.
low.
Yeah, great job.
Appreciate it. Take care, you guys.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jennifer, anything else you want from us today, or have we rounded everything out?
I think that went pretty smooth. I'm really happy with how today went. So thank you very much.
Great.
You too.
Great. We'll be back next Tuesday, right?
Yes, 18th.
Yep, Tuesday the 18th.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent.
good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
Okay,
Oh,
thank-
I'm sorry, commissioners, before we bounce off here. So I don't think I mentioned it yesterday in my calendar report, but I just want to be upfront about it while we're in open session. I am planning to attend the League of Women Voters forum tomorrow evening. And so just wanted to make sure that I gave proper notice. I can't recall if I mentioned it in the report yesterday or not. And so just trying to cover it here.
And I know I didn't, but maybe I should just in case I show up. So we'll all notice it just in case, but you may not even see me. I'm not really here.
I did notice it, so I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. So commissioners, if there's no other discussion, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Have a good day, everybody. See you
Bye.
next time.